Welcome back, everyone. It's time now. On to round two. That was a long break we had, but for good reason, for excellent reason, Steadfast, because Classic just had the entire upset of the entire tournament. Well, we're going to have to find out if that continues to be true, but for now, Classic 2-0ing Rainer is a massive result, and it's going to make this Swiss stage 2 all the more interesting, all the more complex, because Rainer is on the bottom side. He's going to play Oliveira on the A stream in just a little bit in the second set of 0-1 games. But before we get into that, before we talk about that one, and that's the A stream anyways, we don't care about them. We get to talk about this matchup here. It's going to be Spirit and ShoWTimE. It's a rematch of Group B of IEM Katowice. It's actually more than that because they played each other 13 times in 2023 alone, Steadfast. It's a matchup we've seen a lot here, and as we take a look at the vetoes, what are your initial thoughts? Like, what should we expect out of this series?
Ooh, that's a good question, Spirit versus ShoWTimE. As far as the vetoes are concerned, I mean, we can see they went through pretty quickly. No surprise, ShoWTimE vetoing Babylon. The only thing that would surprise me is that it wasn't his first veto. Royal Blood is a little bit interesting. Ancient Sister and Dragon Scales, for the same reason Babylon is bad for Protoss. They are amazing for Protoss. Ancient Sister and Dragon Scales have the biggest main bases. Once again, only thing that surprises me is order of operations. Dragon Scales just feels a little worse against 4-gate Blink Stalker all in. Royal Blood is the only one where I'm not like, you know, totally like, oh man, yeah, absolutely. But honestly, the 3 maps we get making it through makes a ton of sense to me.
And I think in general, this is a very solid Neo-Humanity, Gressfon altitude. If we talk about what a Protoss player is looking for in PvT, they want long maps. They want maps where they can survive. They want maps where these 6 to 10 minute timings, these 2 to 3 base Terran pushes don't work out super well. But this is Spirit, you know? Everything we're talking about, what a Protoss wants, what a Terran doesn't necessarily want, we throw it out the window. We just chuck it behind us because that is not the game that we're going to see here. Spirit wants this game to go late. Spirit wants this game to go all sorts of convoluted and complex and late games and Mass Liberator play and ghosts and everything else. And, well, ShoWTimE is also a player that wants to play into the late game a little bit. So it seems like that is based on the maps here. You know, it's long maps, big maps that enable that one. But looking back here, Steadfast, we talk about Spirit and ShoWTimE having a lot of history. I think back to that altitude game. Specifically, I think it might have even been, it would have been this year. Spirit and ShoWTimE played this incredible map on altitude, which we get where it was late game, all back and forth, Spirit playing all sides of the map. And it was almost a comeback from ShoWTimE, but not quite enough. But anyways, late game, all that fun stuff, Steadfast. It's game 1 here. It's Neo-Humanity. It's not altitude. And on the bottom right for Berlin International Gaming, he's Die Mauer. It's ShoWTimE.
And his opponent spawning up at the top left, a new addition to Storm Gaming. It is Spirit.
The soul of Terran. Yes, technically. Technically.
Count it. That's decent. That's good. That's solid.
No, because
by the way,
I
think I've detected an incorrect input on, unless I'm mistaken, an incorrect input on Aligulac. It shows that series that you and I were talking about, including the map on altitude. It shows it as a 2-0 on Aligulac, but it actually was a 2-1 according to Liquipedia. And in this case, I would trust Liquipedia for that one because we did in fact cast that series.
Yeah, I was looking at that. I'm talking about this. I'm like, I could have sworn it was like we had two consecutive late games in this matchup, and one of them Spirit won. He did a great job, and then the other one ShoWTimE I think made a comeback, and he took us to 3 games. But I was trusting in the data, and you know, human memory is fallible, Steadfast. Generally, Aligulac is not. But in this case, yeah, you're correct. It was a 3-game series, which is just, I think that's a good omen. It's it's the biggest tournament we've had since then. Similar prize pool scales, so clearly ShoWTimE and Spirit are going to give us a 3-game banger here. And the maps kind of tell us that might be possible.
Yeah, it's a map pool that doesn't look particularly too bad for one side or the other. At least these 3 maps. Now, Everyone has been saying that it's a rough map pool for Protoss, but looky at what we have here. It is not a proxy starport. It is a proxy factory. That
Ooh.
is bold. And this is going to go into a proxy starport. For a second, I was wondering, is he going to float the factory? No, it's not close enough. Could have potentially been Armory Widow Mines or something like that, or just, you know, Hellions, the cars. But this is absolutely going to be a proxy starport. It's going to be a 3 Hellion drop with this.
And I love this. We see from when we were talking about this, Steadfast, we talk about Spirit. He's a player that wants to go late game. And in fact, his map vetoes kind of give us this idea that he wants to go late. He doesn't want to hit these crazy early timings, but he's going for it anyways. That being said, the fact that we have a Stargate opener from ShoWTimE in this game number 1, assuming he goes Phoenix at some point, ideally out of this Oracle. Ideally, you start with Phoenix, but assuming he goes Phoenix out of this Oracle, that's probably the best possible solution, because then, well, the Hellion drop happens and you just lift the Hellions and they don't get damaged and you deal with the medevac. It's really best case scenario here for ShoWTimE, but that is assuming he gets more than an Oracle. That's assuming he goes into Phoenix behind that with Steadfast. That's not a guarantee. That's not a given.
No, but he is going to send the Oracle straight across the map. This is something ShoWTimE loves to do, is he will use that. He'll get the Stargate. He usually gets 1, sometimes 2 Oracles, and he'll drop a very early revelation on his opponent's base. And what that is going to show him is that there is something missing. And he did go for a 2nd and 3rd gateway behind this before any tech. He's going to see this and he's going to be like, wait, why are there 2 barracks here? This should send some alarm bells here. I think, okay, yeah, 2nd Oracle is great. Wait a minute. Okay, yeah, it's already getting here. Oh, there is vision on the right side, and he did have units in position. Great job from ShoWTimE already. He actually got the kill on one of the Hellions before its shot could go through. So the first shot was not a one-shot situation. 5 probes for 2 proxy buildings?
Not enough.
Okay, he gets a 6th, but wasn't quite able to get the 7th. I think this is just fine for ShoWTimE. I think, especially with the relatively quick Twilight Council behind this, I think this is just fine for ShoWTimE, yeah.
Yeah, no, this is not enough from Spirit. You commit to that. You commit 2 proxy buildings. You build all this on the other side of the map. You want 7, 8, 9, even more than that, because now ShoWTimE has all the map control in the world. He's got these double Oracles. He's got 3 gate, and that's interesting. He wants to end the game. He wants to punish Spirit hard for this. It's not going to be Blink Steadfast. It's not going to be this standard thing. He's going charge first here. And this is not like, okay, you know, I've got a couple of units. I got Stargate units. I've got Colossus on the way. I want charge to buttress this. This is charge before the robo is complete. Spirit he's going to have to batten down the hatches here. ShoWTimE wants to have all the power in the mid game.
Yeah, this is really interesting to me. I'm still not sure. I think you might be right about that it could be a very aggressive play. I can't quite tell, though. It definitely gives him a ton of aggressive options, but he may be scared about a really quick follow-up push, because he did scout the 2nd and 3rd barracks rather quickly, which means that stim and combat shields are not that far away. So it's entirely possible that he's just worried about this push, so he wanted charge really quickly. I think that's what it is. And it is going to time out pretty darn well here for ShoWTimE. Good observer, but a great scan right there from Spirit. There is this proxy pylon and gateway on the other side of the map that's going to give potential counterattack. But this is a good, decent setup here for ShoWTimE. Adding on the singular Phoenix is really interesting. I was wondering if it might have been Phoenix charge lot, but yeah, I guess not.
Yeah, I think that's a good call, Steadfast. I was getting excited about the charge. Oh, you know, he's going to try to run. It's hard to break a 2-base Terran, especially on No Humanity, but that's kind of what it felt like. But I think you're right. ShoWTimE got the scout. He saw that Spirit had those extra barracks. He knows that Spirit didn't get enough damage, so you got to find maybe a little bit more. So you go charge, and it gives you these counterattack potentials, and it means that any sort of big pressure finding its way in is not going to be as effective. And now, Spirit couldn't pressure. You know, if those Zealots had been low Zealots and it had been Blink Stalkers, I think Spirit could have stemmed in and really found value, but instead he can't, and he delays the 3rd base that Spirit was trying to put on location to bring himself back into this game. So the third base much faster for ShoWTimE. And now he's able to get into what he wants. It's a Robo Bay just about done. Second, or Robo Facility just about done. Second Robo Bay on the way here, or vice versa. Regardless, second Robo, right? He's going to be able to build what he wants, 2 Colossus at a time, very quickly into Disruptors behind that. And now he's actually kind of moving into Phoenix Colossus. We are seeing those Phoenix get made now that he survived that kind of scary 6 to 7 minute timing.
Yeah, it's he survived the first move out. This is the first one that has a significant number of medevacs. Big stim coming in here from Spirit, and yeah, he definitely sees the stasis ward. Oh, splits off 3 Marines. That was I think that was unnecessarily rushed. He could have just split off 1 and it would have been the same. I don't oh no, that one was about to expire. He gets a huge stasis. That one he did not see. That is certain. Oh boy, these Widowmines, they do better than I expected, considering the fact that ShoWTimE saw them, but he wanted to chase the army away so he can go for a big crush right now. This looks very scary for Spirit, and Spirit's gonna have to find a way to keep this army. But I don't, that Colossus is moving very close. Yeah. Okay, it's fine.
Okay, so it's just not gonna work out here. And by the way, Spirit's distracted. That a great move from ShoWTimE. He put Zealots into the third as Spirit tried to make that happen, because Spirit, you knew, he had all the bio in that trap, right? He couldn't fight, so he's gonna want to go and try to sledgehammer through, bring his reinforcements forward, deal with the left and the right, and turn it into a big surround, right? That's the ideal. And ShoWTimE just pulls Zealots into the third. He says, "Fine, ShoWTimE, you want to do that? That's great. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna make it so you don't have the opportunity." That being said, something found its way into one of ShoWTimE's bases. It got 11 probes, so I don't know what it was exactly, but ShoWTimE did take some economic damage on the other side, and now that's a ballsy drop. 4 medevacs here, getting ready to move into the main, and I mean, they're gonna run into 2 Phoenix, but 2 Phoenix do not stop this steadfast.
No, they certainly do not. I think it must have been a Widowmine drop. Spirit loves those mid-game Widowmine mix-ins. This is a little bit funky. Simultaneously, the SimCity works very poorly and very well for ShoWTimE. It works well on the top side, very poorly on the bottom, but with oh, hello, ShoWTimE? Hello? What just... Okay, I don't know what just distracted him. I'm looking at the minimap, but I didn't see anything else. Still, even though he loses 7 probes, he cleans up the entire army. It is now a gigantic army supply lead for ShoWTimE. He's getting into his 2-1 upgrades. This is a fantastic position for ShoWTimE. And if ShoWTimE just pushes, how many Colossus does he have? I think he's got enough to maybe just end the game right here and now.
Yeah,
he's got a War Prism almost certainly.
This is a powerful pushing position that we got in here from ShoWTimE. He doesn't have upgrade. I mean, he's got +1, but he doesn't have his upgrade timing just yet. These Vikings, actually, they get some solid pot shots. But the Phoenix, they just jump on top of them steadfast. So you need more than that. Spirit needs to be on double starport right now, but he just can't afford it. And now this army, what is Spirit supposed to do here? The Ghosts on the right side, they get targeted immediately. EMPs are solid. Absolutely, they are. And the SCVs, though, they have to get pulled here. And the Colossus are doing so much. The Warp Prism Micro is fantastic. And the Colossus, they're just not dying. The Phoenix, they kill them all off. And with 9 workers dying, with 10 workers dying here, ShoWTimE does an incredible job. He holds on. You know, the drop found nothing at the start of the game. And then he holds on, he holds on, he holds on, has that massive play, distracts with the run by, so he can make sure the stasis trap gets what he wants. And then, well, by that point, that Warp Prism Micro was classy, clean.
Yeah, ShoWTimE looked very good in that game number 1. Obviously, he started out 0-1. We didn't get to see the games, but he did play against Maru there. And here, this is kind of the game-breaking moment right here, is this medevac drop ends up getting cleaned up. Obviously, you know, ShoWTimE left it a little bit longer than he could have, but he'd already wiped out the vast majority of that army. And I think he was just frantic to get back to the front line in case there was another attack coming on in. And then from there, I mean, there's like nothing that Spirit can do unless ShoWTimE makes a huge blunder. And not only did ShoWTimE not make that blunder, like you said, he displayed some nice Colossus War Prism Micro and was able to close out from there. And he's looking good going into game 2.
That he is. I mean, we see Spirit at the end of that fight. He's able to finally get the War Prism down. But I feel like there's so many targets that those Vikings have to hit steadfast. You get the Warp Prism, so there's no Warp Prism micro, but the Colossus are killing everything. Do you kill the Phoenix, so you can kill everything else? I mean, that feels rough because, I mean, technically it goes out and then you shouldn't have to deal with lifts, but still a little bit happening. Do you target the Colossus and have them get saved? There just weren't enough Vikings. ShoWTimE, he hit this timing before Spirit had what he needed. Give him another minute, maybe he can defend. But there was just, he wasn't ready. And now that means we get to move into game number 2. And in the bottom right, on Gressfon in the red, looking incredible in that first game, in that game number 1. For big, it's ShoWTimE.
And his opponent looking to turn the series back around. Spawning up at the top left, it is Storm Gaming Spirit.
Rather spirited play, but more from ShoWTimE than from Spirit in that game number 1.
Yeah, honestly, ShoWTimE looked really solid. Spirit did some nice micro to try and get, the max value out of that Hellion drop, but ultimately it really didn't get enough done. And then that stasis ward that connected on it, that was what, like 15 supply of bio at a critical point when the Terran is, sorry?
More maybe, yeah, I'm agreeing.
Oh yeah, more, yeah. No, it was a significant amount of bio. Like it was quite a bit. And then from there, like ShoWTimE wipes it out. Like you said, a really nice play to counterattack on the other side of the map and ensure that Spirit cannot focus on that big hammer blow on the other side. Oh my God, he almost loses the SCV here. Jeez. Yeah, just everything. ShoWTimE just did everything well, and Spirit wasn't able to match the decisions, match the tempo. But Spirit did go for a bit of a weird build. And let's see if he plays a little bit more standard and is able to make a little bit more happen this time.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna see a much more Spirit game out of this game number 2, where you do play greedy and you do get into the mid game, you do get into the late game. But what kind of to put a pin on what you're talking about, Steadfast, that stasis trap had the potential to be very scary for ShoWTimE, right? That on the same metric that is a lot of supply that you stasis up that's not available to the fight. When that's done, if you don't position properly, it's so hard to punish because then Spirit could hit with a big two-pronged attack. And those zealots that run by just at the proper timing meant that Spirit wasn't in position to be able to reclaim that army, and then it got all sorts of awkward. But look at this from ShoWTimE. He's going Stargate in game number 2, Steadfast, but this one's not in ShoWTimE's base. This one is a proxy on the map here. So taking advantage, he's up 1-0. Might as well do something a little bit interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. This is your opportunity to kind of do something a little bit unexpected. And people think of ShoWTimE as your stock standard player. They don't think of him as the guy who does weird stuff. And Spirit, he's going to get in behind this. He sees that there's no tech building in the main. He didn't get a chance to check the natural. So is he going to expect a proxy Stargate? And that's the big question. Because if he doesn't, and this gets in, finds 3, 4, 5 SCVs, we could be looking at a very quick series potentially.
Yeah, I mean, we were looking at this series and we're like, oh, that Katowice series was fantastic. They're 6-7 or 7-6 between the two of them this year. Like, it's very, very, very close. And Spirit, he goes for a weird build game number 1. It doesn't work out, and then the follow-up drop doesn't work out, and ShoWTimE just plays very well. And now Spirit has no idea that this Oracle is going to show up. Now, that being said, Oracle, bit of an awkward path, doesn't run into the mineral line just yet. Very worried about the prospect of a Widow Mine, which is there, by the way, in probably a more visible position than we're used to seeing. But this is still lots of damage, your Oracle.
Oh, that was balls of steel from ShoWTimE right there. He managed to click the SCV in a full stack and gets out without triggering the Widow Mine. Only 3 SCVs, but at the same time, he's up 12 workers right now, and he has eyes on the medevac drop. This is an amazing start for ShoWTimE. If he can manage to avoid taking extra damage, he's got Blink on the way behind this. He's already on 3 gates. Oh, D-Mauer is looking sturdy right now.
That he is. And, you know, Steadfast, you say it's only 3 probes. This is a single proxy Oracle. It takes 3 shots effectively for an Oracle to kill an SCV. We don't see, or Oracles don't kill SCVs all that quickly. So with the Widowmine there, right, Balls of Steel, very, very edge of that, losing the Oracle to that. So getting 3 workers
Cyclone?
is actually really nice. Dude, that being said, you pointed out that Cyclone. Well, we're talking about how nice it is that the Oracle stays alive, Steadfast. Oracle failed to foretell its own future, and the Cyclone will knock it out here. And that actually takes so much of the power out of ShoWTimE's army. Oracle into Blink is so good in part because you still have that high ground vision.
Yeah.
You can blink in the main. You have that Oracle available to you. And now, ShoWTime, I think I saw a sentry in that army so he can hallucinate up onto the high ground, but that's not nearly as nice.
How many tanks do we have is my question. Oh, that's a really nice find for Spirit here. Gets the Stalker, sees the Warping, crucially. And, oh, good job from ShoWTimE. Does break the second lock on and will kill that Cyclone. But this buys a little bit of time. Is there a Widowmine drop on the other side of the map? Okay, I swear I saw the blue thing. Was that must have been Spirit moving out with the mine drop or something? Maybe? Or maybe he was just thinking about it. Either way, Spirit now has the time to pull the SCVs. He knows how much danger he is in with no siege tanks. But ShoWTimE wisely just is like, okay, well, I'll just start targeting down SCVs, trades the blink for SCVs. That puts him even further ahead. He's up 14 workers right now. This is such a great start for ShoWTimE.
Now, the one question I got to ask you here, Steadfast, is there's the Widowmine drop. Actually, a really interesting angle there, finding its way into the natural, but Stalker, this is not going to work here. Stalker's blink on top. There's no vision on the high ground here, except for the fact that ShoWTimE, just before this, he built a single Phoenix, which may find its way back. There it is. There it is.
Boom, baby. Oh my God, that was so smart. He predicted the future. There's no way he was actually thinking of that. I'm sure it was just to actually chase down the medevac, but it ended up working out. Even if you didn't kill the Widowmines, just killing the medevac is almost worth building that Phoenix, because then you just kind of have a mobile spotter. But the fact that he denied both Widowmines, prevented them from doing anything, ShoWTimE is going to explode in supply in the next minute or so.
You know, it's funny, Steadfast. Right before that happened, I was about to ask you, I'm like, this is a single Phoenix. Like, what's the point here? It feels a little kind of at a weird timing, and then, you know, it shuts down the drop. Yeah. I'm like, oh, well, ShoWTimE's just smarter than I am and smarter than anyone else on the map here. And now he's got a 4th base. Just done. It's done right now. It's
4 bases versus a Terran whose command center is like just finished being at past the halfway point. Yeah. The 4th Nexus finished at 2.5 base, basically.
Yeah. He's not miles ahead. He's leagues, he's furlongs, he's parsecs. He's whatever long distance is that's more than a mile. Like, he has put himself in such an incredible position in this game. But Spirit does have opportunities available to him right now. He knows he's probably locked down on his 2-base setup pretty well.
Spotter pylon.
Oh, the hallucination's not gonna wrong spot. But yeah, the spotter pylon is gonna deny this.
This is so dangerous now, actually, for ShoWTimE. Oh, he recalled. Okay. He wanted to recall to get back. Okay, for a second, I thought he was going to pincer the army with a bunch of charge loss, and then the Stalkers were going to blink in on the medevacs. It's going to be something similar to that, but he did have to use his blink defensively. That is so many charge loss right now. If he had siphoned off and killed off that whole army, I think it would have been game. As it is, he is going to try and jam it in right here, right now. I don't know if Spirit can hold.
That was a massive Widowmine shot, but even still, you're right. It's going to be so hard right now for Spirit to be able to hold on to this. He's down 30 army supply. He's actually, upgrades are going to be just about equivalent here, but there's this +2 timing as the Widowmine doesn't get that much. There's this +2 timing right now that ShoWTimE has, and it's going to be a little bit longer for Spirit to have that +1 armor. So he's going to be down an upgrade. He's down effectively 2 bases right now. He's down an army supply. But he is adding Ghosts Steadfast, and Widowmines are solid against, you know, Zealots because they do splash damage and they shut down all these shields. These tanky units aren't all that great. Ghosts do the same thing. EMPs shut down so much effective HP, so much beef out of this army of ShoWTimE that with 3 or 4 Ghosts on the field, Widowmines as well, it feels like you might actually be able to make something happen. He's down army supply, absolutely. But this army from ShoWTimE is on a significant timer, at least until he adds the Colossus. Charizard Blink Stalkers against a solid 150 supply, 160 supply of Terran Bio. He's not all that great.
Yes, I do agree, but I think the Colossus timing. Oh well, he's already got the first one on the field. Extended thermal lance starts up. ShoWTimE thought about going straight into +3 weapons. Did not. Oh, Spirit just meant to scan, and he accidentally dropped a mule in the middle of the map. We saw it kind of running back into the third base location. Meanwhile, War Prism will get into the main base. That's going to be able to. It'll get a couple of SCVs. Pretty well handled, honestly, by Spirit here. Doing a good job. But here comes the jump in the middle of the map. Both Widowmines will go down. The EMPs are mostly just to try and prevent a chase. ShoWTimE is maxed out right now, and he is chomping at the bit.
Yeah, of course, Spirit's win condition is surviving until he's maxed out on, 60 workers and going up to 140 army supply. ShoWTimE doesn't want to let that happen. +1 armor is going to be done just about right now. He's got +3 on the way, second forge. Oh my God. And look at this Steadfast. He's got 2 Colossus right now. That's fantastic. He's going up to 4. He understands that there's not a lot of anti-air in this army of Spirit that he's trying to make. It's very heavy on the bios. So build yourself 4 Colossus. Have that just massive bulk of splash damage of sieged up units that are going to make it very Spirit realistically. Oh, nice Widowmines. Actually, half damage on a Colossus. Spirit will really struggle with just this bio to be able to deal with 4 Colossus. It's past the point where you can just kind of split and engage onto it, but 3 Colossus is a different story. That's a dead Colossus there. Nice catch, Spirit.
Yeah, but I mean, that was a big mistake from ShoWTimE right there, leaving that exposed. That's the kind of thing that can let Spirit kind of get back into this game. Now, we're not there yet. Oh, huge stim coming on in. This is a massive concave from ShoWTimE, though. And there was a lot of firepower. Vikings are going to find... Oh, no, they don't quite find that Colossus. Widowmines do get taken out while they're trying to burrow. And ShoWTimE, so many Blink Stalkers. They are on the chase with their +2 weapons. Couple of Vikings barely surviving. But it feels like ShoWTimE is just winning out on the trades.
That was such a weird fight from Spirit. I mean, you're going downhill into spread out Colossus. Maybe the thought was he's like, I got 1 Colossus. Surely I'm fine. But the answer is no, he was not fine here. Scan gets dropped just to see where the reinforcements are coming from, I guess. Maybe see if there's an observer. Regardless, this army from ShoWTimE right now on 2-1 with disruptors getting added in. It's a problem. So SCVs are going to get pulled and then run away because there's the sun. That Nova is making it so hard for Spirit to... He can't even take the fight. He can't even take that savior of a fight, that idea of a last fight before you tap out. The disruptors are too powerful, Steadfast, and ShoWTimE, that was a dominant 2-0.
That was a really strong showing there from ShoWTimE. Spirit, you can see he looks a little bit stunned right there, and it's hard to blame him. This is a pretty big tournament, obviously, and he ran into a bit of a monster in Cure, who currently is probably the 2nd best Terran in the world, and not as far out of first place as a lot of players would probably think he is. And then he goes up against a player who is, definitely someone who's had his numbers historically, but this year it's been very even. And we can see, boom, this could not have been better timed. That is what I was building to, is that it feels like everything for Spirit kind of went wrong for him. And that stasis ward, it was on the verge of expiring. And then just before it expired, it got that massive connection, gave ShoWTimE a lot of control over the game. And ShoWTimE, it feels like he just never let go of that control, even extending it into game 2.
I didn't even talk about this stasis in game because it was so clear that it was going to expire. And I guess maybe that's kind of what Spirit was thinking. It's like, by the time I run forward here, it's on. Actually, no, he wouldn't have seen the timer, so I'm just going crazy. Regardless, yeah, you're right. You seize control right there. And the big thing that we're seeing out of ShoWTimE in this tournament that we don't always see, Steadfast, sometimes we do, is ShoWTimE's understanding of his win conditions. He is so well known for his late game, for his ability to not die, to withstand drops all over the place and everything else. You're like, oh, wow, he's not dying here. This is really impressive. He's withstanding this pressure. But a ShoWTimE that knows when he needs, like when he has to have that killer instinct, when he has this advantage and can run across the map, that's not something we always see, but we are seeing it here today, which is just fantastic for those of you that are wanting a Protoss to make a better run than we've had in the last couple tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, it's early, but Protosses are doing pretty decently so far in this tournament. At the very least, they're doing well enough. With Classic 2-0ing Rainer, Hero went 2-1 over Hero Marine, which was a close series, but still did obviously ultimately go in favor there. Creator did get 2-0'd by Serral, but I mean, Serral is Serral.
It was 2-1.
And of course, ShoWTimE got beaten by Maru, but yeah, he got the win. For now, though, we're going to go into a very quick interview, or quickly go into an interview with D Mauer himself, ShoWTimE.
Hey, ShoWTimE, congratulations on going up to 1-1 now in the Swiss stage. I want to ask you about actually the series as a whole, right? Because you and Spirit have played each other 13 times, now 14 times in 2023. When you go into a matchup like this that has so much history, so much recent history, how do you kind of go about prepping for that?
Yeah, I used to beat him a lot in the past, but this year he stepped it up a lot and he's been beating me. Like I even lost 4-0 in one of the tournaments recently. So I was a bit worried about it. And there wasn't really much preparation because we literally just got the matchups like 10 minutes before we had to play. So I just went into it thinking I just do my usual stuff, you know, like nothing fancy, just play my style and hope it works.
Gotcha. And then looking at game number 1, we saw Spirit do something that is somewhat out of the ordinary for him. We saw the proxy factory, the proxy starport, that just very aggressive play, and you handled it very well. What kind of, you talk about you're just kind of prepping for regular play. Did that kind of wrinkle that we saw from Spirit playing maybe counter to how he normally plays, did that change your thought at all about how you were going to approach the series, or just, oh, okay, you know, we're in a good spot?
Like the Hellion drop he used in, I think, I don't know what the tournament it was, but he used it against me before. So when my Oracle went to his main base and I saw there was no factory, no starport, I knew immediately what it was, so I brought all my units back. I kind of gambled on him dropping my main base, because if he dropped in the natural, I would have had nothing there. So I got a little fortunate in that case, but yeah, I realized the build immediately, and if you don't take a lot of damage, you're very far ahead, because they lack like the factory and the starport production.
Gotcha. That fast?
Yeah, so I guess. Oh, I only have one question now. First of all, congratulations. That was very well done. Very impressive. I guess then for game number 2, you really went heavy on the Zealots there. That kind of reminded me a little bit of like Zest back in like 2021 into the double Robo Colossus, which is exactly what he was doing. Is that kind of your comfort zone, or did you feel just really good off of, you got a little bit of damage with the Proxy Oracle? Obviously, you lost it to the Cyclone, but it was a good economic start. Like you were up like 12 workers at, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes. Like, is that something where you're just like, okay, I want to slam down the charge lots? Or is that something where you're like, yeah, I kind of feel good about it right now. I just want to really dominate the map.
Yeah, it's just if you proxy his target, you can't really go into like Phoenix Colossus or anything from that. So I thought, okay, I have to follow up with Blink most likely, and then it's just like making charge lot is just such a natural follow-up. And I was a bit worried about the 2-base timing, so I stayed very low on the gases, and I just wanted to kind of destroy his timing and then take up. But he never really moved out, so it was a bit weird because I got stuck on so many Zealots, but I felt like I was so far ahead that it didn't really matter.
Yeah, it kind of felt that way to us too. Just fantastic play though. Great to see you doing well. Obviously, I feel like for the last maybe 3 months or so, you've just been on an absolute tear, dominating the ESL Open Cups, and it's really nice to see see you doing well here. Obviously, 1-1 is a tough scoreline, but as we give you your shout outs, whatnot, last thing before you do those shout outs, who would you like to play in the next round if you kind of had a choice?
Well, it's hard to say because I don't know who wins or loses. So in general, I just want to avoid like the top Terrans. Like I don't want to play Cure. I already played Maru, which didn't go well. So it's good that I can't play him anymore. Maybe like I don't want to play Clem either. So I guess if I had to choose someone, maybe like a Protoss. Like I kind of want the Protoss players, or like maybe Elise, or yeah.
Fair enough. And anyone you want to give shout outs to as we wrap up the interview?
Just shout out to everyone watching. Hope you enjoy the tournament and the games. And shout out to my team, Big, for supporting me. And yeah, that's it.
Perfect. Thank you very much for taking the time. We do appreciate it. Good luck in your next matches. And yeah, hope you do well.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So Steadfast, I'm hearing that a laser is going to beat Dark next round, because that's the only way we could get a Spirit ShoWTimE or a Spirit of Laser round 3, and he said he wanted that. So, you know, I'm hearing that's the story I'm hearing.
Yeah. I mean, we'll have to see how that shakes up. You mentioned it before. Dark is a dangerous opponent, certainly. Or sorry, a laser is a dangerous opponent for Dark. Dark's a dangerous opponent for anyone. But this is going to be really interesting to see how this one shakes out. We're going to head to a quick break, and then we will get back with our final series here on the B stream for the day. I am Steadfast. I'm joined by Beowulf, and we'll be back in a little bit.